Hello, this is Public Information Officer Major Greg Arabian, representing the Post 41 MVets, Corporal Paul S. Masubian Post. And today we're conducting an oral history of some of the veterans at Post 41. The veteran that we're interviewing at this time is Vahe Takvorian, known as TAC, known as Vahe. And we're going to ask him some of the questions that relate to his service during the war. Okay, Vahe, were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I enlisted.
You enlisted. You didn't wait for the draft.
I beat the draft by, my brother and I beat the draft by 2 weeks.
Why did you beat the draft?
I didn't want to go in the Army. My father was in the Army in World War I,
Yeah.
and he said, if you guys are smart, you'll join the Navy, and we both joined the Navy.
So you preferred the Navy over the Army?
Yeah.
Okay. And where were you living at the time?
Well, actually, I was away. I was on the road with a band. I was a traveling musician, and I came back home to enlist.
Okay. And so you enlisted from where you were living? Was that Watertown?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Why did you join, other than joining the Navy before you joined the Army?
Yeah. Well, I figured I had to serve, you know, and...
You knew there was a draft going on?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you preferred the Navy over the Army?
Yes.
And you knew that you had to serve and do your duty?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And is there any reason why you picked the service branch other than hating the Army? Other than not wanting to go into the Army?
Well, I didn't...
You preferred the Navy?
I preferred the Navy.
Okay. Do you recall your first days in the service?
Yeah, but let me relate a real funny
Go ahead.
story about myself and my brother.
Yeah.
My brother was also a member of this post, and he passed away a few years ago.
And what was his name?
Vaskin.
Vaskin.
Okay, now he and I, we turned 20 in August of 1942. Okay, he was a musician also. He was on the road with a small group, jazz group, and they were working in New Jersey, and I was working in New York with Sam Donahue's band. And when the draft come up, we came home. Okay, now at that time, Sam Donahue said he was going into the Navy with Artie Shaw's band. Artie Shaw, you know that name, Artie
Yes.
Shaw. He was recruiting a band, okay, in the Navy. And Sam said, and I said I was going into the Navy. He said, I'll get you in that band.
Okay.
So I came home and got inducted. My brother was, we were about 2 days apart. So we both wind up in Newport, Rhode Island for training. And we were in two different training companies. So one day, my brother gets tapped on the shoulder. He said, you're Vahe Takvorian, musician? He said, yep. He said, pack your bags, pack your stuff. You're going to New York to join Artie Shaw's band. And he said, no, that's not me that they want. It's my brother that they want. Because this thing was all set beforehand, before I went in the Navy.
Yeah.
And the chief says, you're Vahe Takvorian, pack your stuff, you're going to New York. So he packs up and he goes to New York and joins the group there at Pier 92 in New York. That's where it was formed. And he walks in and he says to Shaw, you got the wrong Takvorian. And Shaw says, how many Vahe Takvorians can there be?
So your brother was Vaskin and you were
Vaskin,
Vahe.
I'm Vahe. They just asked for Vahe Takvorian.
Yeah.
And so they got me down there a few days later. But Shaw has told this story all over the world. He showed it a couple times on TV shows. It's a funny story, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And
So-
you end up serving with him?
Yeah, I was, yeah. But he played bass fiddle, so they already had a bass fiddle, so they couldn't have another one. So he couldn't come with us. So we left New York. You want me to go on with this?
Go ahead.
We left New York, went to California, and they put us on a ship. We went to Pearl Harbor. We got to Pearl Harbor on Christmas Day, 1942.
Uh-huh.
And there's a million stories about what happened with this band. We were like,
Can you briefly
yeah.
Can you briefly describe what you saw when you got to Pearl Harbor? Go ahead. Just describe what you saw.
Well, we didn't. Well, I just saw what happened there, you know, and they put us on. They put us at the base there at the Navy Yard.
This was a year after.
Yeah,
The
this was
attack.
1942.
Yeah.
Christmas Day, 1942. There's a lot of funny things that happened, but I can't go through those.
Did
It'll
you
take
see
me.
the ships still in the harbor, all destroyed?
Oh yeah, yeah. We
And
saw
what
all
was the
that.
condition of the base?
I really can't say any. You know,
It was pretty badly destroyed. They had
it
to
was.
redo
It was. It was still racked up there. You know, but
Okay.
that was a year after it. You know.
And where did you?
We wound up staying in IEA, the IEA barracks, and they put us up there. We were there for 3 months, playing around the islands there. We did all the islands, and then they sent us down to New Caledonia, and we went to New Caledonia on the battleship North Carolina, and that took about 2 or 3 weeks. We got to New Caledonia, and we played all the bases around there. And they sent us up to the Hebrides. We went to the Solomons and played in Tulagi, and we went from I can't remember the island now. Wait a minute. We went to Tulagi on a PT boat. And we traveled on everything except a submarine. We went to, from the Hebrides, we came back and we went to New Zealand and played for the troops in New Zealand. And then they sent us to Australia. And from Australia, we came back home. Mr. Artie Shaw had some connections. He got out of the Navy. They put us they sent us home on a 30-day furlough, and we had to report back to Lido Beach in New York, and we get back to Lido Beach after 30 days. This is after a year. We got back.
That's from 42 to 43.
42, 43. We got back in November of 43, okay? And after a 30-day furlough, we wound up at Lido Beach. We found out that Shaw got out of the Navy.
Okay.
He got out. So we didn't know what the hell we were going to do. So the fellow in charge was Sam Donahue, the guy whose band I was with before I went in. So he and another guy went to Washington, the Navy School of Music, because we knew a few people down there, and they got us down there. We reorganized the band because a couple other guys got out. And from there, they sent us over to England. And they put us in a convoy of 100 ships, and they put us on an LST in the middle of winter, the North Atlantic, and sent us to England. And it took us 30 days to get to England in a 100-ship convoy. And we spent the next year playing in England, all the service bases in England, air bases, Army. We played for everybody, Army, Navy, Marines.
What group were you assigned to? What was your battalion on?
Well, we had, when Artie Shaw started the band, he designated a number, Band 501. So we were Band 501. All the Navy bands had numbers, but they were all attached to ships. We weren't attached to anybody.
Okay.
So we were like McHale's Navy, you know. And
during your experience convoying to England, did you see any of the ships sunk?
no.
So it was a safe convoy trip.
Oh yeah.
And did you see any of the submarines, the U-boats attacked by any of our
No, we didn't.
reconnaissance planes?
No, we didn't see that.
Yeah.
No.
So you were pretty well protected.
I guess, yeah. I didn't see anything.
Okay.
So when we got to England,
Where did you go when you got to England?
we went to Exeter, England. We were stationed on the Navy base there, the supply base for the invasion. And we used to spend a week out of the month in London. And we went to London when the buzz bombs were coming down. And in fact, on one of the other trips, we were there when the first V2 hit
Did
London.
you actually see them strike?
Oh yeah, you could see them. Yeah,
Describe the buzz bomb.
The buzz bomb was a thing, you could see it up in the air, and it really buzzed. And they said when the thing stops, the motor stops, it's coming straight down. And so every time that happened, we would duck, and it would come straight down. Now, let me relate another story. Glenn Miller's band was over there at the same time we were, and I knew quite a few fellas in the band. They were in London, and they left London to go north after all the buzz bombs started. 3 days after they left London, the building they were in got flattened by one of those buzz bombs.
Was it a buzz bomb or a V2?
Buzz bomb.
Buzz bomb.
Got flattened.
Yeah.
Okay, so we spent a year over in England, and then we came back. They sent us to back to Washington, and we played around Washington for a while, and then they sent us out to Hollywood to make some recordings and transcriptions for the Armed Forces Radio Service.
You were playing a bass fiddle?
No, trombone. I was a trombone. My brother played the bass fiddle.
Okay.
And
did your brother ever join you in some of these?
no, he was he was sent to Florida.
I see.
Yeah, because they had a complement of 21 guys, and he already had the complement. They wouldn't allow anymore, so he couldn't go with us.
Where did he play?
He played the bass violin.
And was he assigned to a band as well?
He was down in Florida. He was, and then towards the end of the war, he was transferred to the Ticonderoga. He was on the Ticonderoga, the carrier Ticonderoga.
Uh-huh. And what did he do there?
He was a musician in the band.
He was also a musician
in the band. Yeah.
Okay. How did you feel? How did you feel about entertaining the troops?
Well,
Did you
fine.
feel that you were appreciated?
Yeah. Every place we went, I ran into people from home.
You
From
did?
Watertown. Oh yeah, guys would come up to me because they printed up programs with the names of the guys in the band. So the guys would come up to me that from Watertown, and I ran into quite a few that I went to school with.
In Watertown?
From Watertown, yeah.
Any names come to mind?
Well, Saxacoyan, he was from Arlington. Nick Fantasia, he was in the Navy. Nick Tazanos, he was in the Marines. He was in a Marine hospital.
Did you play in the hospitals
Yeah,
as well?
we played all.
Did you find that they appreciated you more
Oh
than
yeah,
anybody else?
of course, yeah.
Yeah. Did that cause an increase in the morale of
Yeah,
the troops?
it was. That's why we was sent out. And that's why we did all that traveling that we did. You know.
Yeah. And did you travel by air and?
Oh, we traveled everything but a submarine.
Everything but a submarine. Okay.
And when we got back, half the band got out because they had points to get out, and I couldn't because I wasn't married or anything. And they sent the rest of us back to Hollywood, and I was stationed in Hollywood at the Armed Forces Radio Service, right in Hollywood for 3 months, and that's where I got discharged.
When were you discharged?
January 46.
46. So that was a year after VE Day. And,
Yeah.
Okay, and so were you awarded any medals or citations?
No, just
Did you stay in
the
touch?
theater, the theater
medal.
That's all.
Did you stay in touch with your family?
Oh yeah,
You
I used to write home. Yeah.
write home, and they wrote to you.
Yeah.
What did you have? How did you like the food?
The Navy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. It's
They
fine.
gave you enough food.
Oh yeah.
Good food. You never had any complaints of the food?
No.
Did you have plenty of supplies, or were you short of supplies at any time?
No, we just had
You
our
had
music.
your instruments.
We just had our instruments. That's all. But we traveled so much that, in fact, out in the Pacific, we didn't even wear sailor suits. They gave us khakis to wear, you know, because we traveled so much. You couldn't keep them clean, you know.
Did you feel any kind of pressure or stress when you were doing your work?
No, no. But we had a few close calls. We were on Guadalcanal when the washing machine Charlie used to come over every night, you know.
What is a washing machine, Charlie?
That was a nuisance plane that used to come over, you know.
Was it a Japanese plane?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you keep a personal diary?
Oh, that's another thing. I kept a diary of places that we went and the people that we saw, and it was pretty well documented. And when I got out, I was a school teacher, and I retired from that in 1984, and I said, I'm going to write a book. So I wrote, after I retired, I wrote 5 pages. That was 1984. I haven't written a page since.
But you still have the diary.
I got the diary and I got the memories.
Okay.
You know, I could write a book, but
Would you say that your memories in the service are good or bad?
Oh, they were funny. They were funny.
We
had
good
so
memories?
many. Oh yeah, we had good times, because all the fellas I was with, they're all professionals. They all came out of big bands, you know, and I was 20 years old, and a lot of them were a lot older than me and more.
Well, now you played
experience.
in a band.
Yeah.
But you say from there you went to school teaching. Why didn't
Well,
you?
no, wait a minute.
Okay.
After I got out of the service,
Yeah.
I went back on the road with bands. I played
You
with
did?
a lot of bands, you know.
Okay, all right. And how long, when you got out in 1946, how long beyond that did you go on the road playing with bands?
Right away.
Right
A couple
away.
months, yeah.
For how long?
I was on the. I went with Sam Donahue's band, and then after a couple months, I joined Claude Thornhill's band, and I was with Claude for 2 years. Then I came home. And I worked up at the Meadows up in Framingham for 1 year. Then I went back on the road again. I went with Tex Beneke, and I was with Tex Beneke for about a year and a half, and then I went with Tommy Dorsey's band. And I spent 5 or 6 years with Tommy Dorsey.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Then I
So-
came home,
Yeah.
and I started working around Boston, freelancing and working the theaters. And I worked at Blindstrom's, and I worked at Colonial Theater for many years. And I went back to school.
Was there a time that you said to yourself, I don't want to stay on the road anymore, I want to
Oh, yeah,
stay at home?
I did.
Well, when was that?
Actually, 1957. 1957. And I
So
came
what did
home.
you think about, for instance, after you got out of the service, what did you think, for instance, about the Korean War?
Well,
Because the
at that-
Korean War was 10 years after.
I know that. I knew what was going on. I didn't think much of it because I was on the road traveling, and you know.
You didn't have any fears
I didn't have
that you
any.
would be drafted?
No,
or
oh no, no.
Okay.
Nothing like that. I didn't
Did
stay.
you
in
join any veterans organizations when you got through?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
And when did you join Post 41?
I can't remember when I joined it. It must be 10 or 15 years. 15 years maybe. Yeah.
And
Oh.
when you came back to Watertown, did you renew any relationships that you had with people here in Watertown?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went back to school. I went to BU because I started teaching. I started teaching in the Concord Public Schools, and they could carry you while you're working on a degree. So,
And did you relate any of your experiences to your children, to your school children that you taught?
oh
Or
yeah,
did you have an opportunity to
I
describe
did.
to them
I
what you
did. I did.
Did they appreciate it?
Yeah, they did. Well, I was a music teacher, so you know, they were all involved in music, so they all understood.
Did you talk to them during the Korean War, for instance?
No, I wasn't a school
Tell 'em.
teacher then.
You were still
No,
on.
I
you
was
still
on the road.
Okay. Have you made any public appearances to people telling them about your experiences in the war?
No, not really.
Yeah.
No.
So this is pretty much an original taped interview. Is there anything else that you'd like to add? What do you think of our service today, and how they're prepared to meet their obligations?
Oh, I think they're very well prepared. From what I see, you know, and I think they're all doing a good job. And it's scary what's going on in the world today, but
know.
something has to be done, you know.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about the interview? In the interview?
No, I went back to school, as I said before, and
Yeah.
I got married at the same time, and
How about
still
your brother?
living in
Did he
Water-
come back?
yes, he came back. He was a musician too.
Did you play with him when he got back?
Once in a while, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I had a band for a while, you know, and we worked together for a while.
All right. Well, if that's it, we'll end the interview
Okay,
here.
fine.
This is Greg Arabian, ending the interview with Vahe Takvorian of Post 41, Watertown AMVETS, Watertown, Massachusetts. Thank you very much, Vahe.
Fine.
Okay.